let's jump in. Let's do this today. I got Victoria here with me, and we're going to be installing Claude Cowork together. And here's why I'm so excited about this, guys. This is the reason why you've probably heard me saying that what I will do is I will tell you when I think we need to be paying attention to a new tool. And this is it. Like, this is a jump. This has been a leap, if you will, in terms of capability. And this is why so many people are excited. This is why technology stocks dropped like 20% over the last couple of weeks, like, is because there's something big happening right now with AI. And what it is that this right here, this slide, that we have gone from chatbots. Okay. So you remember November 2022 when we got chatbots and everybody's like, oh my God, like, what is this? It can write, it talks to you, it seems in some way to be able to understand what's going on. And that was level one, like it was chatbots. And then those chatbots, about a year later, started to add reasoning capabilities. In other words, they would think through things, like they would make plans. So the first one that I remember, I think was '01. It was called ChatGPT '01. Then '03 came out because they skipped '02. I can't remember why, some kind of trademark issue or something. And the reasoners arrived, right? And so we started to have models that were thinking models. So you could turn on thinking and turn off thinking and stuff like that. I, I, you know, that was a massive step, not necessarily like this one, but it was the step in between chatbots and agents. And that's what's here today. This is an agent. So when you think about why we need to be paying attention to this, is because the agents are here. Like, this is an agent. It acts, it does things for you. You're going to see this today. Like, you're going to install this with me today, and you're going to have an agent on your computer, and it's going to start doing work for you. And the installation is going to be, it's going to be an actually kind of a fun process for you. You can use this to install Claude Cowork for any business. So what I'm going to show you today and give you today as an installation, there's a lot of people yesterday that were like, holy cow, like, I could do this with my client businesses, or I could do this with this other business like my husband runs, or I could launch a business with my kid. Like, go wake your kids up. Go wake those kids up, Victoria. They need to be launching businesses over there. They need to be installing this for a business. And what this installation is going to do is it's going to walk you through a process of properly setting up Claude Cowork so that it's ready to rock and roll. Like, it's ready to start cooking right away. So this is the big reason that we're here today, is that the agents are here. You're going to install an agent today, not a chatbot. This is not a chatbot. So when you go in to Claude Cowork, you're going to see a selector, and it's going to be chat, Cowork, or code. And in order to do this today, you're going to need to install the Claude desktop app. And so I've been putting that into the email. So hopefully you just Google this Claude desktop app. Let's see. Of course, they take me first to a crazy page. I'm going to drop this in.
Sorry, I share the link.
Good. Cool. There's a couple of pages. She might have sent you a different one, or maybe this one. I don't know. But like, there's a couple of pages, but you can download the Mac or the Windows version of this, and you're going to need this on your desktop. And it'll go to cloud at some point, but you're probably going to stay in desktop because it's faster and all that. But so when you go into Claude Cowork, so I'll pull up Claude Cowork here. What happened to you? I'm going to cancel that. I was working on something, but I'm going to go to new task. Okay. So this is Claude Cowork. And up here, you can see this little selector up here. So you got chat, you got Cowork, and you got code. So chat, my guess is that chat will be gone by the end of the year. Like, there won't be a chat. Maybe there will be. I don't know if there's still a use for this, but I find myself almost never needing this chat anymore. Because what the chat is it's this level 2, right? It's a reasoning chat bot, and the state of the art right now is going to be going up a level into agents. So the next thing they launched, so they launched chat, but then they launched code. And so you heard about Claude Code and stuff like that, and people were building apps and software and all this crazy stuff on there. And people started to realize, I can not just build apps and stuff in Claude Code, I can build a business inside of there. It can do all kinds of stuff. It can build files. It can do this and that. And people started to build and manage their businesses inside of Claude Code. Now, the problem with Claude Code is that it's very technical. Like no one wants to work. Most of us don't want to work inside of a extremely technical interface. It just doesn't, it's super, you know, technical. So what I have figured out is that Claude Cowork, which is the product that they've just now launched over at Anthropic, it's the sweet spot. It's right in the middle here where you have security, right? So you have security where it's like, okay, this thing's not going to completely invade my computer and send a bunch of people emails that I didn't ask it to. These are agents. They start to take action. And if you allow them to, they will do this and they will do that and they will do this. And so, there is now becoming a thing where we have to think about security. So maybe you heard, and I'm sure you heard Victoria, I know Angela heard about OpenClaw. So Claude Bot was what it was called to start, and then they went to Moltbot, and then they went to OpenClaw, and because they kept getting letters from Anthropic saying, "Stop using Claw in your stuff, like it's confusing people. We want you to cease and desist." So they landed on OpenClaw, and it basically broke the internet for like 2 weeks. Like everybody was like, "Oh my god, OpenClaw, OpenClaw, OpenClaw." They're buying and still are buying Mac Mini computers and setting up OpenClaw on there, which is an agent. The problem with OpenClaw for you and I, as people that start working on real businesses, is that the security is a major issue. Like my take, if you read my newsletter that week, was OpenClaw is extremely powerful, right? You can see where I put it on the power diagram here, but it's not secure and it's pretty complicated, y'all. So if you're on here and you're like a developer and you're somebody that likes to work in terminal and all that stuff, Cowork may not be the right move for you. You may want to go and play with OpenClaw, or even something like Claude Code would be a little more secure. But if you're like me and you want to work in a intuitive user interface, like you want to work in something that doesn't look like I'm working as a coder, and you're just like, what is all that gobbledygook, all this code and stuff? But you want security, you want simplicity, and you want power, and you want that agent, then Cowork is the sweet spot. And that's why so many people are excited about it. The other reason I will tell you that you should learn Cowork, and whatever OpenAI launches, because they're going to launch something like Cowork and it'll work very similar. And Google will launch something like this that works very similar. But Anthropic got here first. And it's important to understand that by the end of this year, nobody is going to be using, or at least most businesses are going to want to be making the jump from chatbot reasoners to agents. This is the word is starting to get out, and you are early to this game. Like you are early to this game. If you're on this call, you're early, and I'm really excited to show you how to get started with it in the right way and in a secure way so that it's secure for your computer, and then you can either use this to run your own company, help other people run companies, turn it into a service where you're helping people get Claude Cowork set up and set up agents. But there's no other way of saying it, but there's going to be a lot of money to be made around this ecosystem of agents, because every business is going to be wanting to get what you're going to install today. And we're going to ride this wave, y'all. We're going to ride this wave. Okay. So, what are we going to do today? We're going to download and install what I call Growth OS for Claude Cowork. It's super easy. I'll go nice and slow. Then we're going to learn about routines, workflows, and core, which are the three main ideas inside of the Growth OS plugin that I'm going to give you for Claude. And then I'm going to talk about something that I think keeps coming up, and I wonder whether Victoria can chime in on this. But moving things from other tools, like we've, especially here at theCLICK, we've been using ChatGPT like crazy people. Like we've built a lot of cool stuff over in ChatGPT. How do we move that over to Claude Cowork? Did you do any of that kind of work?
I haven't yet because I have so much in there, like so much. So I'm going to slow myself down, like you said, Russ, and I'm going to do it very intentionally so that I'm only bringing what I actually need rather than a bunch of junk that I've had chat make.
And I think
But
that's the good approach.
but I do want to say the chat is blowing up like I've never seen it this quick. It's like Fernando's here. He's keeping up with the questions, but this is going to be a fun one, Russ. I'm really
I
excited.
know, I'm excited. So the migration is less of an issue than you might think. I'll show you a little bit on that, but you might find that all of a sudden you just forget about what a chatbot was, right? Like, and what it did, and just say, I'm going to rebuild over here. Like, this is just a new experience, and you'll bring some stuff over if you were a heavy user over on ChatGPT or Gemini or even regular Claude Chat. You'll bring some stuff over, and I'll show you how to do that. But for the most part, it's not a huge like deal to migrate. But we will talk about it. And then I want to talk about usage, because it really is getting to be a point where it's like, do I invest? How much do I pay for AI? Right? It needs to become almost like a cost that you think about for your company. When you have an agent, it truly does start to feel like an assistant or a real employee in a lot of ways. I mean, I was showing Angela that today, and sometimes she goes, well, this thing's doing what I used to do. And I'm like, yeah. And now you can do cooler and cooler stuff. Like, she's starting to do stuff like sales and reach out and stuff like that for the company, rather than just silly stuff like moving this from here to there. Or like, I could go into this one workflow that used to take us like 2 hours every time I did a webinar to move people that registered for the webinar into my newsletter and all this stuff. Well, Claude just takes care of that stuff now. And she can do other things, man. Like, she can do much more valuable things for the company. So you start to think about, Victoria, like, how much should I pay? How much should I be paying for AI? Like, to access it. When you start to think about it as an employee, you are going to 100% need to have a paid Claude plan to do what we're going to do today. So you're going to at least be investing $20 a month, or if you pay yearly, I think it's $17 a month. And then eventually, if your usage gets heavy and heavier and heavier, you might end up going to the $100 a month and think, this is a deal, right? Like, this is a heck of a deal for me to get access to this technology and run it as long as I want at $100. So I would start at that $20 a month plan, but we'll get into usage a little bit later. First, let's go through step one, which is install Claude Cowork. Remember, this is Claude Cowork. So if you want to follow along with me live today, if you're watching this on recording, you can just look below the video in the description, and you should see a link to this folder here that you see on my computer. So I'm going to blow this up for you guys so you can see it a little bit better. But like, what we're looking at here is the deck, if you want that. And the second thing you're looking at is this zip file right here. And this is a plugin for Claude Cowork that is built by me and is going to help us walk through the setup so that you're all set up properly on Claude Cowork right from the beginning. Now, what you do here is you click on that little ellipsis and you download the zip to your machine. Okay, so click download and it will drop the zip file onto your machine. And now you've got the plugin on your machine. So then you're going to go into Cowork. So I'll blow this up as well so we can see one less than that. So up here, you can see in Claude Cowork, there's this little section called plugins. And you're going to click on that. And then you're going to click on the little plus button and go to upload plugin. So just back up. Like, when you're in the home screen here of Claude Cowork, you will click on plugins and then click on the little plus button and upload plugin. Now, you should have that plugin sitting on your desktop somewhere in your downloads folder or wherever it dropped into. And you're just going to go grab that and drag it into your plugins. And before you upload that, let me talk about some security issues with Claude. Okay. So when I drag this in here, I am going to start using this. It's essentially software, if you want to think about it that way. In a weird way, it's software. And I am, it is installing into your machine. I say this because you need to be careful about the plugins. You're going to start seeing that you could install skills and plugins and stuff like that into your Claude Cowork. And you should be careful about the source of those, because, what you're essentially doing here is you're uploading something to your first down to your machine and then into Claude. And that person could put anything inside of that zip, just like any other software that we've always been used to. So only be using things, plugins and skill wise that you're like, oh yeah, I trust that person. So if you trust me, go ahead and drag that zip in and upload that file. Are we getting any questions coming in on this?
So many. Okay, so I'll start with Kip. Kip is having this issue. I cannot download the desktop and just blew 200 on the web version. And then Fernando's trying to jump in and help them. But
There shouldn't be 200 of anything. Like you shouldn't be paying anything to
yeah,
download that. Listen, okay, guys, I'm so sorry, Kip, but go get your money back.
yeah.
I want you to be careful because do you remember when ChatGPT first launched in 2022? Immediately, people saw how big this was. And they started to build these brands that looked like ChatGPT. Even I think Angela, I think you bought one. And I said, that's not ChatGPT. That looks like ChatGPT. It is not ChatGPT. So
Oh, hang on.
yeah.
Yes,
He's
you're right.
saying, yeah,
Oh,
no, and
she
it's the
bought
$200 version. So it's the annual version, is what they did.
well, maybe. Yeah. So if you bought an annual but I do want you to be careful about this, that there's gonna be people that are gonna just like everything else, like, this is big. Like, people are downloading Claude Cowork, and people are try to scam you and stuff like that. This is why this community exists, by the way, is because we could create a place where you can get advice about stuff like this. You can get plugins and stuff like this that you're not worried about what they're going to do to your machine or anything like that. But if you did buy maybe the annual version of Claude at that $17 a month level, then maybe that's what happened there. But just be careful. Like, make sure you're on the official Claude.ai site when you're doing things. Just be careful here because we're getting into the world of you know, these agents go and they take action and they do things. And you want to be using trusted sources and stuff like that at this point. Cool. So should I walk through the thing again?
Yes.
All right. So there's a link and it's gonna be under the video if you're watching the recording, or Angela could drop it in there again. I think yesterday she said she had to drop the link in there several times. So and when you click on that link, it's gonna open this Google Drive folder with the deck if you want it, and then you're gonna download the zip file. Boop. And
Once
it'll
we
screen
download it, Russ, we don't need to unzip it, right?
no, don't unzip it because what the plugin wants is a zip file. Or what Claude wants is a zip file. So you don't need to unzip it now. If you want to look inside of there, you can. There's nothing in there except a bunch of like markdown files and stuff like that. So if you want to sort of look at it, you can totally do that, but you don't need to unzip it. In fact, it won't upload unless it's zipped. So then you go to plugins. You've got it on your computer. You got that plugin, and you're going to click plus and upload the plugin. And now you just drag your plugin in. So you see my zip right there. I'm going to just boop, and there it is. And I'm going to upload it. And since I've installed it already, it's going to say, do you want to replace that plugin? I'm going to say yes. All right. Now, don't worry. We are recording this time. So if you want to just sit back and watch, you can. And you'll get the recording and then you can walk through it. But the next step is to go somewhere on your computer, your desktop, your documents folder, anywhere on your computer that is, you can access and create a new folder. And I'm going to create this on my desktop here and I'm going to call this Growth OS. So GOS. So I'm going to call it Growth OS and you can name yours Growth OS or you can name it after your business or it's up to you what you want to call this folder. It doesn't really matter that much. I probably need to call my folder Growth OS 2 just so that because I did this training yesterday and I don't want, so I'm going to call it GOS2. You can call yours little g, big O, big S. If you want to be cool like the rest of us and have a growth OS, you can call it little g, big O, big S. And that's it. You're set up. You're ready to start rocking and you're ready to start rolling. Okay. So let's jump back into Claude here. I'm just going to downgrade this just a bit, the size of that.
Russ, can you
Okay.
also explain
Yeah.
desktop version of Claude versus the browser version? Because I can see a lot of people are having issues, and I suspect they're in the browser version.
Yeah. So good call because there is the browser version of Claude and there is the desktop version of Claude. And right now you can't get Cowork through, uh, you can't get Cowork through your browser version. So that's why I was saying, like, go to download the Claude desktop app for your computer. And this gives me to the help center, but you can find, I mean, it's just a download page. They need to work on their SEO, don't they?
It's so funny, Russ, because I had the exact same thought the other day.
That page right there, claude.com/download. So that's what you want is Mac OS or Windows version. Yeah, so this is Claude chat in the browser. And you can see I can't get to Claude Cowork in here. Not yet. It'll be here at some point, but right now you need a desktop app.
Thanks, Russ.
Cool. So, all right. So you'll download Mac OS or Windows. Now, okay, here we go. So the way Claude is different, Cowork is different than Claude Chat is that it works on your computer. It's it is this concept that precisely this concept plus a couple of other ones I'll cover that makes it so powerful. Like when you think about it, it's this concept that makes it so crazy powerful. They go back into the deck and look at this slide here where I show you that how this works is you're working in Claude Cowork and it's able to go and build and edit and change and write to and delete and move files around. Now I use a folder on my Google Drive, but I would say to start out today, just build it on your desktop, build it in your documents folder, build it some local place to get started. And then you can figure out how to get it into Google Drive if that's what you want, so that you have it in a cloud platform like Drive or Dropbox or something like that. But to get started today, just build a folder on your desktop and get started there. And then you can always move it into some kind of cloud platform if that's what you want. It's something that a lot of people want is to be able to get it inside a cloud like Google Drive. And it is possible to do that. But today, just start with building something simple like here, and then you can always drag this anywhere you want to put it. But it's this idea that makes this an agent, actually. Uh, this plus, let's say, one other big major idea that makes this crazy cool. So, what you do when you work in a new task, so I'm going to give it a new task. You click on that new task, you're going to root down into a folder on your computer. So, we built this folder. Let's root down into it. So, I'm going to choose a folder and I'm going to go to my desktop because that folder's there and it's called GOS2. And I'm just going to root. I'm going to select that and I'm going to root Claude. It's going to say, hey, are you cool? Are you cool with me editing files in here, moving files around, adding files, like doing things inside this folder? Now, this is important. If you give it access to this folder, it's not going to go and do other things in other folders. It's contained inside of this folder. And this is why I'm telling you to set it up this way, because you can see this folder, it's just empty. It's an empty vessel that we're going to let Claude cook inside of this folder. And I will say that this is really, really awesome because what I want you to think about this is Claude's folder on your computer. Let Claude handle that folder. You probably will do almost nothing inside of this folder except to just let Claude do whatever it wants inside of this folder. So it's almost better, and it's not even almost better, it is better not to go in there and fool around inside of Claude's folder because Claude knows why it put something here or put something there or put something here. You would be better off telling Claude, and you'll see how this works. You'd be better off telling Claude to move something. Like, let's say you were like, I don't like how this is organized. You would be better off saying, hey, Claude, I don't like how this is organized. Here's why. Go fix it and let Claude go in there and move things around because then Claude knows where it put this and where it put that inside of your folder. So it is, think about it as Claude's folder. It doesn't mean you can't touch it. You could drop a bunch of content in there if you want, like build a folder, drop a bunch of content in there and have it go read that stuff. What I'm saying is don't go in there messing around too much. Like, let that be Claude's folder. So I'm going to allow Claude to make this its folder. Click allow. And now you can see I'm rooted into my Growth OS folder. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to say run the quick start. And that's what this plugin is designed to do, is run something called the quick start. So run the quick start. You could just say quick start. You could say, probably even say, let's get started, stuff like that. And the reason I bring that up is because Claude is very intelligent. It knows that there's a process that it is aware of through this plugin to run in some kind of a quick start. And it will take almost any intent that you give it, like, let's get started or where should I start? Like stuff like that should trigger the quick start. And I bring that up again because you don't have to necessarily tell Claude all the time exactly what to do. It will figure out what files it needs on its own. So it's not like old software that we're used to using where you know how old software, like it has to have precise instructions about everything. That's not how AI works, and it's definitely not how an agent works. So if I say run the quick start and run, I bet you some of you are a little ahead of me. Hopefully, I hope you're a little ahead of me. Like you already started the quick start. You can see it's starting to run a skill, and right there, starting to run a skill and commands and different stuff like that. And it's saying, oh, like there's no files here. This is a fresh start. Cool. And now I want you to watch this folder right over here and where my mouse is. Watch this folder as Claude starts to build your growth OS and sets it up to run a business, right? That's what we're going to do. So you can see the first question it asks me, yours probably a little bit different because it's AI and not software. Changes, right? Like, but it says to me, like, what's the business name? And I'm going to say down here, I'm going to say theCLICK and boom. So I run that. What's the website URL? Is it modernpublisher.com? Which it's funny that it knows Modern Publisher because that's the actual parent company of my companies, right? Like is Modern Publisher. But my actual website for this business is theclick.ai. So I'm going to run that. And you can see it's kind of keeping track of these responses. Now, what I've designed this plugin to do for you today is to go and look at your website. And if you don't have a website, that's fine. Let's say you say, well, I don't have a website. You might feed it your LinkedIn profile then. You might say, I don't have a website, but here's LinkedIn. You might say, I don't have a website, but here's another website that I would love for you to go look at because I want to build a business a lot like this one. So maybe Angela, you could tell the story about how you want to build an event company. And so you went through Growth OS and sort of used another company. Didn't you?
Yes, and was awesome because they uh, give me questions that they know the business, and many people want to start a business and they don't know where they can start. And then it's like 10 minutes, and I have everything. It's like just I can move and put all my style, but it's awesome.
Yeah, so she just was like, I said, well, if you're going to build Growth OS around a different business, but you don't have the business yet, you don't have a website. She was like, yeah, but I like this business over here. I've worked for them in the past. So she's a master at setting up events and things like that. That's her superpower is she's an event planner, an event manager. But so she's worked with lots of other companies and she's like, this company over here. I said, well, put that website in there. If that's the company you want to build, so you could put a competitor site in there. I want you to notice something, not to jump off of that topic, so I'll come back to it, but like you can see these files are starting to build out. Maybe it's happening on your computer too. My God, I'm so excited. Like,
Well,
I hope you're like installing this right now.
I'm sorry. Could you back the start again? Repeat the process because some of the members lose the.
You mean the very beginning of the quick start?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, I'm going to run through the rest of this one and then we'll do
Hmm.
another one real quick because I want to show you that you could do this for any business at any time. So you do this. So right now it says it went and looked at my website and it pulled up my newsletter and the fact that I have a paid membership and I have a team training offer. And it's also noticing that I'm currently running a Claude Code Quick Start for marketers, which yes, I am. You're on it right now. And I'm just going to tell it that that looks right. Now, if it doesn't look right, so the first thing it's trying to figure out is what do you sell? What are you selling? And so you can see that it's like, okay, I went and looked at your website. Here's what I found about what you're selling. So if you sent it to a website like REI's site, it would go, oh, okay, you sell sleeping bags and tents and stuff to people that love to go all the outdoors and go to. So any site you send it to, it's going to crawl around that site take in as much information as it can, then come back and say, is this what you sell? And if you read through this, and remember, you can give this to any business. Like, give it to, if you don't have the business yet, give it to a business like the business you want to create, and it'll start to do that. And just say, I'm building a new business, but I want to build a business like this one, and give it the URL. And you can see that it's either going to nail it for you, which it does a lot of times. It's like spooky good at that. And it did a great job for me, and maybe it didn't for you. And that's okay. You can say something else down here, and you can describe your offer. Or at this point, what you want to do is give it information about what you sell, because this is such an important part of Growth OS with Claude Cowork, helping you build this business, like helping you grow this thing, get leads, get sales, get all the things that you're going to want for your client or for yourself or for whoever you're employed by. Like, it needs to know what you sell. And so this tool is designed to go figure out the best it can, like what you sell. If you want to give it more information, if you want to give it a file that contains your offer, or a brochure, or a screenshot of your website because it wasn't able to fetch your website. Some people will say, it didn't fetch my website right, like it didn't do it right. Go grab a screenshot, go give it any information it can. And what's happening, I want to stop for a second, and I want to show you something that's happening as we're going through. Is in this folder, you remember this thing was empty, and it went and already started to build out the core, a memory folder, and routines and workflows. Okay, so this is the structure of Growth OS inside of your Claude Cowork. When you're rooted into this Growth OS folder, when you're through with this setup, it'll know what you sell, it'll know who you sell to, and you're already going to start building workflows and routines and stuff in here so that you're ready to like work in here, like, and actually let Claude help you grow your business and make you more money this year. So if you look, I want to start with looking in this core folder here. If I open this little guy up, this core folder contains the core information about this business so that Claude can do its work. And the two most important files in here are the persona file and the offers file. Because it's gone and looked at your website, or maybe it went and looked at your LinkedIn, or maybe it looked around the web, or you gave it a file that contains your offer, eventually it's going to write your offer document, and it's always going to know about your offer. It's going to hold that there, and it's going to know what you sell. And so it's going to be like so much more powerful when it knows what you sell and who you sell to. So I'm going to tell Claude over here, this looks right. Like, this is close enough. I can always add to this. I can always have Claude change it. I can always, if my offer changes or I add something or take something away, I just tell Claude, like, hey, I don't sell that anymore. And it's like, cool, let me go take that out so that I know what's going on. So I'm going to say, this looks right. Go. Any questions coming in? Any places I need to fill
Yeah,
in?
this is so cool. First off, I've got mine running, and I'm like so happy because it's looking at my website and it's pulling my personas and it's asking me questions. And it's like, well, okay, so I don't need to give you that. You're figuring it out based on what is already out there in the world, which is so cool.
Yeah, and
Um,
again, some of you will have something where you're like, there is nothing out in the world from me, but there's something. I promise you, there's somebody doing something similar to what you might want to do, and give it that. Like, give it their business, but tell Claude, like, this isn't my business, but I want to build a business like this, and it'll know. But cool. Do you want to give it a name? Do you want me to help you name it? Let it go. Let it tell you what to do. You can see it got my pricing. It didn't find my pricing, so I'm going to say, Click Pro is $990 per year. Click Pro.
okay, so while you're doing that, Lindsay loved the fact that she can pull up somebody else's website. Excuse me. It's early morning for me, so she's excited about that. And a couple folks were asking about, like, do I need to give it the persona? Like, how do I attach the documents?
Okay. So she has her own document. Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
yeah, not Lindsay, but another person in here, like, already has, I think, their offer and their personas, so they might be getting confused between how the ChatGPT training and this training.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because if you've been going to my trainings, I've always been saying the most important two documents your AI needs to know is your offer document and your persona document. And so a lot of you have probably already built like really great context for this tool. You can see, like, right here, I am it's still running through the setup. Like, does this look like the customer? And so it went and built me a persona here. If I X this out, let's through this scenario a little bit without me actually doing it, because I still want to go through the quick start for those of you that don't have these kinds of documents and stuff. But if I X this out, okay, and just close it, and I say, here is my persona document. So I would just attach it to Claude. You can see that this little setup is not allowing you to attach anything. But if you X this out, you'll be able to attach something and then just say resume the quick start. Does that make sense? Like, it's crazy, but you can see this little file right here is what's keeping track of what you've done inside of the quick start. So you can see it's checking off little boxes. I didn't do that. Claude did that. It knows that you're done with the quick intake and the offer document, or I am anyway. So if you stop, like, let's say you got to go drive the kids to soccer practice or whatever, and you come back, just go back into your Claude and say, let's get back started with the quick start. And it'll be like, cool. Like, because I built it, and actually Claude built it. I didn't even really build this. It built this progress file for me. And so that it can keep track of how far you've gotten in that quick start. And so you just say, start the quick start back up. Or let's say you're like, dude, I want to work on something else for a while. Like, I don't want to mess around with this quick start. Cool, go do that. And then maybe at some point you're like, I better go finish the quick start. Just tell it, resume the quick start. So if you have documents, so let me just, actually, I'll just go ahead and demonstrate this. If I close this, I can attach just like any other AI right here. You can see it's moving me forward, but um, you can stop this quick start at any time. You could go into a new task and work and then come back and resume. And the thing is, like, you can add or subtract or do anything you want with Claude Cowork. Like, later on, after you go through the quick start, you can say, you know what, that persona you built was good, but this is the best one right here. Remove that one and add this one. Is this making sense? Does that help?
Yeah, that's great, Russ. Thank you.
One of the things that's asking me here about the persona is pain points. Why? Because I want this AI to know who you are serving and what the problem is, because that is the primary understanding that you have to have when you're growing a business. Who do you serve and what's the problem, right? Like, what's the problem that you're solving with the product? And building personas has always been important, but it's super important now, and it's super easy to do with this setup, is to build personas. So when Angela went through and built her event company into Growth OS, she was able to run through this setup process and get a really good persona built running through the process. But let's say 2 months from now, she's working and she's like, actually, there's a second persona that I want to build. You would just describe that persona and say, I want to add a second persona. And here's the characteristics of that person. Just describe it as well as you can and let the AI cook. Like, let it go build it, put it where it goes. It'll put it in. Where's it going to put it? It'll put it in the core files. It'll know, put it in the core files. That's a persona document that belongs in the core of the business. We need to know these things. And so it'll know, like, build persona 2. And maybe it'll build a folder to keep your personas in. Like, let it do what it wants to do to keep itself organized. But you can see it's asking me what these pain points are. Again, it's pretty good at nailing it. But if you've got ones you want to add, you could put something down here. And also remember, you can go back and work on this persona later. Getting the original setup finished is the goal here. So I'm going to just select these 3 and run it. Now, again, I want to go back to this folder, guys. Like, you can see it's starting to build this up. Like, here's my offer file, right? When I open this, it popped over on my other screen. When I open this, Claude has created this document for me. And it's using a file type called Markdown. Don't be afraid of these Markdown files. You'll get used to it really fast. All Markdown is a very, very simple language that, or formatting style that AI loves. AI loves to read Markdown files because they can see everything that's going on in here, that this is a heading 3 and that's a heading 2 and that's a heading 1, and that, this is bolded, these 2 asterisks, and you'll get used to working with Markdown file. Don't worry about it. But it builds everything in these Markdown style files because it just reads it really fast. And by the way, this kind of isn't your file. Like, it's just Claude's file. If you want to work on your persona, you could just tell Claude, like, put it into a Office document or put it into anything you want, put it in a PDF. And you can have Claude just go ahead and build that for you. And then you can edit it and then Claude will go update it. So this is kind of Claude's file. Really would caution you against going in here and making too many changes to any of Claude's files because, again, Claude built them for a reason. If you don't like something that it did, you can either go edit it yourself or you can just tell it what you don't like, how you want it to change, and it'll go organize itself. Okay. So it built my offer file. Looks like now it's built my persona. Look, you can see that updated at 10:48, 2 minutes ago. So we open this guy up and now it's built my persona. And it builds a persona the way that we've been building them in the Click, Victoria. Talk about that. Like, how do you like
Unreal.
that?
Like, how does it know? It just knows.
So it builds this little guy down here, this pain points and quotes table. And if you ever want to write email subject lines, ads, landing pages, stuff like that, because Claude knows pain and pleasure, like what is bothering this customer, this ideal customer of yours, and what is their ideal state? Like where are they now? And where do they want to go? All of that's built into your persona. And Claude, when you write things with Claude, it will reference your persona and it will say, well, we want to hit on this pain point or that pain point. It might ask you, like, which pain point do you want to work on today? Like, so, I mean, good marketing starts with empathy, understanding the customer and what their problem is. And you want to write copy that gets people to stop and say, that's me. You're talking to me. I have that pain point. I have that challenge in my life and I'd like to get rid of it. What do you got? All marketing really is help, like understanding the pain and then helping people get to some ideal after state, right? And so building this into Claude so that Claude knows what's the pain, what's the pleasure, and is so powerful, like particularly when you're creating any kind of marketing assets. Let's look at this last step of the quick start where I want to talk about. So, the core files. Okay. So, core is the brand design, the brand voice, the business info, the content rules, the offers, and the persona. At any time, you could tell Claude, and I think it'd be exciting for you to do this today or soon. Let's build out the rest of the core files. Just say something like that. Let's build out the rest of the core. And you may not be able to get your brand design completely set up or your brand voice completely set up or just get stuff in there. Start working on getting these things so you can see how powerful it is. If this AI understands the fonts you use, the colors you use, right? Even that basic idea, colors and fonts, and it'll walk you through, like tell it to ask you questions, tell it to interview you and build these files out so that you're starting to get, you are ready to rock and roll with offer and persona done. You want to get next level, fill out the rest of your core files and they will never be complete and they will never be perfect. They are living, breathing documents. Your brand design will change a little bit. Claude will learn something about your brand design and it'll go and edit the brand design file. Like it'll be like, I see you're doing this with this new color, this new font. You like to use this, and it'll start to write to your brand design file. And every time you go to build design stuff, it will know to reference that file. This is the thing we got to wrap our heads around. It's been really hard for me. I don't need to build a GPT that knows my brand design and I have to call it and tell it to do it. It just knows. This is why when I say chatbots, reasoners, agents, right? This is an agent. This thing knows, go get this, go get that. So that's the core. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is something very powerful, which I call routines. Okay. And they are built into your growth OS because you're running through this installation. You're going to build your first routine, which is your morning routine. I love this because you can see it goes ahead and builds this thing called morningroutine.md. And it's going to ask you over here, what do you want in your morning routine? I'm going to keep it really simple here. And I think you should too, to start. Just tell it something like you want the weather. Okay, just start. And I'm going to say, just want the weather. You can see there's some other ideas in here. Like I want you to go look at my calendar. I want you to look at industry news. We can add that later. you can do anything you want with this morning routine. It's so fun to build a cool morning routine. And so tell it you just want the weather for now if you want the quick start here and run that. And it's like, where are you? Right? Like, are you in Austin? And it's like, no, it would be cool if I was in Austin. Like, I like Austin, but I'm in St. Louis. So I'm going to say St. Louis, Missouri. And so it needs to know that because, it needs to know where to put the weather. But my guess is it's also writing that elsewhere in here, like that I live in St. Louis and that my business might be in St. Louis, and it's starting to like learn some stuff here. So now it's writing the morning routine. It's going to update this file right here. You see the last time it updated was 10:36 my time, and now it's last updated 10:56. And I'm going to open this just to show you like that it's not scary in here. It's literally just a set of instructions that says, you are Russ's morning routine. Greet Russ. Tell Russ what the day of the week it is. Use a web search tool to find the weather, and it built in a calendar. I don't know why it built that. It says Google Calendar tools are not available. I think it's because of my plugin. It built these things, and maybe it will run that too and help you get your calendar. But let's say you don't want it connected to your calendar. Then just say, I don't want it connected to the calendar. It'll go delete this out. Right. But because I set up a template basically that does all of these things, it's going to be really easy for you to set it up with tasks, like where it'll go start keeping track of tasks. It'll go check your calendar. It'll do some other stuff. If you don't want it to do that, just be like, I don't want it to connect to calendar. I don't want tasks. But let's say you want something else, like you want a manifesto or a mantra or a poem every day, or it doesn't matter what it is. Like, tell it what you want. Give me an inspirational quote every morning. Give me like, and these are just basic things that I will tell you about with your morning routine. I want you to think about the routine as a cron job, basically. Like, I want you to do this, 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 and this whenever I say good morning. I want you to go do these 6 things. And those things could be anything. You could have it go send an email. You could have it, if you're connected to your email, you could have it go check a folder. You could have it go, you could literally set this up. And this is your first routine. Now, I want you to open your brain. I really want you to open your mind and think about how routines could work in to your workflow. Because if you have another routine, like let's say you want some research done, you would create it as a routine, right? And that routine might not just do research, but it might do research and then apply some rules to that. So it can be multi-step. Like you could say, every time I say go do the research, I want you to go do research, find information around X, Y, or Z, whatever I tell it to do. And then I want you to find ideas for me to write social media content out of the research that you did. And then I want you to list out all your ideas in a table, and I want to be able to select any of the ideas that I want. And then I want you to write these social media posts in this format. Like, that's a full on routine, and it can handle all of that just by you saying, go do the research or let's do some social media. You tell it what the trigger phrase is, and it goes and starts to build the routine around what you're telling it you want. This is why I tell you guys, we are the creatives of the world. Okay. It's our turn. It's our turn. We are able to build software basically just by talking, because that's what it's doing. It's going and building things and connecting things and doing things that we want it to do because we're the creatives. We're not the engineers necessarily, where we think about code and all that stuff. We don't want to think about that. We want to think about what we want to create, what we want to build in the world. What message do we want to give people? You know what I mean? What value do we provide to the earth? And you just keep telling it what you want. And because of the way Growth OS is set up, it'll either build it as a core, a routine, or a workflow. And if you've got some other way you want to set this up, just tell it, set it up this way, set it up that way, build a new folder that does this, it does that. But you can see that it's writing this morning routine. And then the last step of Growth OS Quick Start is, which workflow should we build first? So we talked about core. These are your core files. Like, these are the guys that are like, man, this is the core of the business. Then you get into routines. And these are ways to set up things that are like boom, boom, boom. Think about them like automations. Like this just goes and does this and this and this and this and this. The last step is a workflow. So it's asking me, which workflow do you want to work on first? It's trying to use its best judgment to give you an idea. Do you want to work on, and God dang, it did a really good job of figuring out which workflow I might want to work on, because these are three good ones for me. It wants to know if I want to work on the newsletter, LinkedIn, or Click Pro launch promo sequence. And let's just say I want to work on the LinkedIn content pipeline, or let's just say I want to work on something else and get some other workflow built. That's fine too. Just tell it what you want to do. But this is a good example of me saying, okay, I want to build a LinkedIn workflow. Now I want you to watch this folder right here, the workflows folder. There it goes. It built a folder called LinkedIn content under the workflows folder. And inside here, it's going to start creating the outputs. Okay. So this is where finished LinkedIn content will live. Now, this is so cool because now when I work on LinkedIn content inside of Claude Cowork, it will always know the content that I'm creating, and it always holds that in context, right? It's always available. So if I say something like, hey, did you see how I edited? I edited that last LinkedIn post that you wrote. I edited it. Like I edited it for like a half hour or an hour. I want you to go look at it, and I want you to see how I write. Go and rewrite your rules about how you create LinkedIn content based on my edits. And it'll start to learn how you want things created, want written, and you will find that you will do less editing because it'll nail it. It'll get more and more close to what you want, you know, because it's all in here. It's held inside of that folder. So the AI can be like, oh yeah, okay, I see you edited that a lot. Like, you know, you want me to use headings. You want me to use bullets more. You want me to use more spacing, whatever. It'll write all those rules out so that it starts to get better and better and better at creating content for you. Is that making sense? Do you see how excited I am about this?
This is really cool.
Okay.
Diane had a question that I want to jump in now, if you're okay with that, Russ.
Yeah, let's go for it.
She was asking, I have to scroll way up because the chat has blown up, but she was asking, can you migrate a Canva project folder with your templates, pictures, etc. IOW, the digital asset file for a client?
All right. Don't let me not come back. What I end up doing is running off with,
I know.
I need you to slap me. Okay. So before I go and show you what Diane's talking about, I want to make sure everybody understands what's happening inside Growth OS in your folder, that you have core, you have routines, you have workflows. And when you work on workflows, these are things that you're doing every day. So pick a workflow, pick one workflow and spend an hour and a half. Pick something that you do all the time or you want to wish you were doing and start working on it, and just keep telling Claude what you want. Keep telling Claude like, no, I want it this way. I want it that way. And the reason you do that is because there is a principle I want you to understand that's happening when you're doing this. And that is that you have an idea of something you want to be doing. You run an attempt and you fix it. And then you run another attempt and you fix it. And it's not just you that's fixing it. It's you and Claude are fixing. And then eventually that thing becomes automated. So my big takeaway for this, when you're working on workflows, teams, things like that, is to move slow and fix things. You don't have to get it perfect, but get it to where it's like, that's pretty good, because you can always build on top of it. And you don't want to stop here where it's like, oh, it doesn't really work right, but let's just move on. And you build something on top of that, and it's like, well, now that's kind of janky. So move slow and fix things. Pick one workflow and completely nail it. And not perfect, because nothing's perfect, but completely nail it. Now let's go on to Diane's really awesome question, because let me tell you about the other thing that makes this thing an agent, not a chatbot, an agent. So if I go into Claude Cowork, I want you to look down here at this little plus button and click on that and go to connectors. So connectors are how Claude Cowork starts to become crazy good. Okay. So Diane mentioned Canva. She does a lot of work in Canva. I wish Claude was aware of all my Canva work and how to pull things in and out of there. Well, good news, they have a built-in Canva, and I'm not using it right now. I haven't set it up yet, but you would just open these connectors and connect and start to play around with what's possible inside of Canva. This will get better it will get more powerful. Right now, I don't know what the Canva plugin or connector does because I haven't installed it yet. But let me show you all the ones I have installed. I've installed Google Drive, Gmail, Google Calendar, Notion, Slack, and then this one, which I'll go over in a minute, Zapier. So I also have connected Beehive, where I do my newsletter. So my AI is aware of the fact that I published a newsletter yesterday or I sent some emails through Beehive. It knows. And not only does it knows precisely when I sent it. It knows how many people opened it. It knows what my click-through rate was. It knows the content of that email. And think about when it's aware of all of that, what it can do, how it can help you write more emails like that one, and it's starting to learn. And it's really the interconnection of all of these connectors that starts to create some unbelievable agentic behavior. For example, if Angela sends me a Slack message to set up a Zoom meeting for this person tomorrow, because the way my Claude is set up to have connection to both Slack and Zoom, I might say, "Hey, check my Slack messages from Angela." And it's like, "Hey, Angela said you want to set up a Zoom." And because I'm connected to Zoom, it's like, "Do you want me to just set that up for you?" And then it goes into Zoom and creates the meeting and invites the right person. This is the kind of stuff that is definitely not just possible, but it's totally there for you to start to connect your universe of tools. This is why I said, and I've been saying for a while, that you will start to spend less and less time outside of a terminal like this. You won't be visiting other websites. You won't be going into other apps. Everything will be pulled in and pushed out through an AI terminal like this. And this AI will be completely aware of all of that context, all of its capabilities, all of what you're working on, all of what you sell, who you sell to, what your brand design is, what emails you sent yesterday, what social posts you put up yesterday, and it will just cook for you. Like it will just work, right? And so it literally is, we are at the point. 2 years ago, I've made a slide that showed a wizard with a wand in it. Maybe some of you remember this slide 2 years ago, and I said AI is becoming a magic wand. If you can imagine what you want and you're structured right, it will just create. It will do things for you. It will create images, video. It'll make meetings for you, and it'll cut out so much grunt work that you had to do, so you can focus on what do I want to build, what do I want to create, what message do I want to get out there to the world. This is the time to build something, which is why Angela and I were talking the other day, and I said, I've been messing around with the tagline for the click for the longest time, but I've been signing my emails for the longest time as let's build something together. I've been signing off my emails because I want to build stuff with you guys. I want to build together as a group. And so let's build something together needs to be our tagline because this is the time to build something. Build something that's yours. Build something that you're helping other people get access to this power and this ability to get what they want out to the world. There's so much we can do with a tool like this. So I'm going to pause here and let's get into any other questions. Hopefully that answered Diane's question. Try connecting Canva and see what it can do. So, and the way you would do that is you connect Canva and you just say, so I'm using a voice app here to talk to Claude. I'm going to say, "Hey, Claude, I want you to go into Canva and tell me what you see. Like, what are you capable of doing inside of my Canva? Can you build stuff? Can you tell me what's in there? Can you fetch files? Can you do whatever? Like, tell me how that Canva connection works." And it'll just tell you, like, yeah, I can see your Canva. I can do this and this and this for you. And do you want to do some of those things? Do you want me to pull some files? Do you want me to go look at this file? Do you want me to do whatever? Right. And literally just ask Claude, just ask it what you want and just talk to it. Let it build the routines, let it build the workflows, let it do all the things. So if you want to add to your morning routine, for example, you want to say something like, "Hey, Claude, every morning I want you to go grab the latest Canva designs that I have created." I don't know if that's possible actually, but when it does become possible to fetch the designs and show them to you, you'll spend less time going and checking Canva, right? Like that's all you do. So you say, add it to the morning routine and it will go into this morning routine file and it will add instructions. Every time Russ or Diane says good morning, I want you to to show it the date, show them the date, greet them, give them an aspiring quote, show them the weather, check the calendar, and pull in any new Canva designs. That's a routine. You can keep building and building and building on that routine, or you can build a new routine and it will live under this routines folder. All right. Questions coming in. Anything exciting?
I do wanna just say one quick thing for anybody who's like, "Okay, I'm totally stressed out. How do I how do I wrap my head around this?" This will take time for all of us. Like, Russ has had 2 weeks playing around with this. I've only been playing with it now for, what, 3 days? And like I said at the beginning of this, it will stop you. Like, you'll reach a point where it's like, "I've run out," because it's using a lot of tokens or whatever. So it will you will have a cap in how much time you can spend on this, which is actually a really good thing, right? So like Russ said, slow down in a way because this is so next level. So to also just calm your nervous system and be like, it's okay. Like we are advanced. We are incredibly advanced that we are in this room right now. And the second thing I want to say is just how amazing this community is because people were really struggling at the beginning of this webinar, Russ, and just having tech difficulties. And like Michael Longfellow's in there, Fernando's in there, other people are in there, and they're all jumping in, being like, okay, have you tried this? And, so just seeing how positive and supportive and like, that we're all in this together. And
Two of the best humans in the community, Michael
I
Longfellow, Fernando,
know
Victoria. I mean, like, you guys are all just so awesome, and
it's
all
so great.
you name those 3, those are 3 people that have been with me since the beginning of this, so they are advanced. And some of you, yeah, I think are probably saying like, "Oh my goodness, like,
Yeah.
I this is really, really powerful." And I see but I also see, like, a lot of things going on that I think I'm not ready for. That's totally cool. Install the plugin, which I do at the beginning of this, and you'll get the recording pretty quickly after this. Just go back. Here's something I wanna go back to that Angela brought up. She said, I wanted to set up another one of these, so let's do it." Like, let me show you if I had another business or if I was starting over and I just wanna go create a folder, new folder, and let's just call this on point results. Now, I don't know if Nikki Stein's on here, but she's another awesome Click Pro member. She owns On Point Results, awesome marketer, and has stayed up with AI and been with the Click from the beginning. Let's build her business out in here. So I create On Point Results, and I have the plugin already. So I can do this to any folder. I can take any folder. I already installed the plugin. I don't need to do it again. I'm just gonna this time start a new task and I'm gonna root down into that empty folder. There's nothing in there. I'm gonna go on my desktop and click on Point Results. Now this becomes Claude's playground for working on this business. And now I'm in the On Point result. Remember, there's nothing in here. So let's watch what happens when I start to run the quick start. So I'll just say run the quick start because I have the plugin installed in my Claude. So I can run this on any business. Run that quick start, but run it this time on Point Results, which, Nikki does marketing work for businesses. Like she's a freelance marketer and has clients and all that stuff. So if Nikki, for example, had client businesses, she would build folders for them and start to quick start them. Run the quick start on client A, run the quick start on client B. But the idea here is build an empty vessel somewhere on your computer and run the quick start. Root down into that folder and just say run the quick start. And then just follow the instructions that Claude gives you. What the way I built the quick start was hopefully to start to walk you through and start to see the capabilities because you're going to build a couple of the core files, the offer and the persona, and you're also going to build a routine. And then it's going to end by saying, what do you want to work on a workflow? And that's your 3 core components of Growth OS. But you can see that it's like, hey, let's do a quick intake. What's the business name? On point results. So you can do this for any business. If you don't have a name, just say, I don't have a name yet. Remind me to think through that with you later. What's the business URL? So Nikki's site is onpointresults.com. Now, with those 2 inputs, what's the name of the business? What's the website? The plugin is going to go look at her site and say, cool, let me figure out and watch what happens over here. I want you to watch what happens over here. It's going to start to build out Growth OS inside of this folder. Let me grab a few more pages. It says, there it goes. It built core memory routines and workflows, and it built out the files, or it's going to in the core. It's going to build the brand design. It's going to build Now those things will be empty for now, but you can always go back and work on those. Like, and by the way, it'll just learn things as it goes about your brand and add those to the file on their own. It's like, okay, that's enough from the crawl. So it went and crawled her site, and now it's building out offer, persona, business info, brand voice, brand design. Now remember, because I'm rooted in this folder, it's not going to go in and mess with any other part of my computer. It's just rooted into this folder. So you can test this, just give it access to some folder and let it and play with it, you know, run through a quick start with a fictitious business if you want. But there's nothing going to happen anywhere else outside of that folder because it's the only folder you gave it access to. I found 3 services on the site. Is Nikki on this call, Angela? I wonder. You see
No.
her in there? So, okay, well, so it went, and I do know that this is pretty close. I don't know if it's exactly the right, but it's like I found 3 services: brand partner, presence audit, ongoing services. I'm gonna say that's the full list because that is, I think, the full list. Which is uses a primary offer. I'm gonna say it's this audit because that's her lead magnet, I believe, but I could pick anything there. So it went and found her offers, like what she sells. Pretty cool. And now it's going to start to build out the offer persona. Is there a price on the online presence audit? And I'm going to say it's free. I don't know that it is. I think, but let's just say it is. Does it have a free offer? I'm going to say the discovery call is the free entry point. Now, if there was something else, I would put that in there, but I'm just kind of demonstrating this again. I want you to see that the last time that this offer document was updated was 11:19 a.m. and it's going to start to write that offer doc for you and update that. And then it's going to go to work on my persona. And then it's going to ask if she wants to create a morning routine there. And then the last thing it will do is say, do you want to start on working on a workflow? And if you just say, no, I don't want to do, I want to do something else. I want to keep building my routine or I want to keep fleshing out my core. Just tell it what you want and it'll start to build it. The thing is, the last thing I want to cover big picture wise is this little guy right here. So this is the one we started with today, this Claude.md file. Now, this is a file that this is Claude's file, like, and it contains the master instructions for how Growth OS works. So you probably don't want to edit this ever. Just let Claude edit this. And Claude keeps track of this thing. You can see the owner is Russ Henneberry. It'll say your name up there. It'll say your business. It'll say last time it was updated, stuff like that. But it's keeping track of the rules of the instructions as to how your Growth OS works. Yours is going to be different from everybody else's because you're going to be working the way you work and telling it to do this and do that, and mine's going to look different from yours. And that's exactly the way we want it. But if you need help, if you need to think something through, just ask Claude and start coming to our mastermind groups and sharing and asking questions when you get stuck. And I'm talking to Click Pro members right now. The Click Pro is going to be very focused on tools like this, agents. We are going to be already meeting about, like, what are we finding? What are you working on? How are you getting this done? As a community, we are going to be riding this wave. How are we making money off of all of this? Like, what services are you providing? What are you doing with it with your e-commerce business or your service business or your info business or your software company? Like, what are you doing with it? And how can I use this better? This is a tipping point, guys. This is AI agents have arrived. As you can see right here, many of you are already installed and you're seeing it on your side. I want you to play with this. I want you to run through these quick starts, run through 2 or 3 of them, build new folders, root down into the folder and run the plugin. Say run the quick start and go through it again. Watch this training again. Go through it because this is going to be those of us that learn this tool now. I'm telling you, the whole world's asleep about this. The business community is asleep about this. But as they start to become aware of what's possible, we are standing here saying, like, yeah, I've been working on this for a month. I've been working on this for 2 months, 3 months. I am very well understanding how these agents work because I've played with it. I've used it. One of the taglines that I've used for a while, I said, let's build something together should be the tagline. But one of the other taglines I've used is you learn AI by doing AI. And that's why I set up my training the way I do. I say, take the plugin, go work on it, go use it. And then let's get back together next week and share and troubleshoot things and learn new things about what's possible. It's really is an exciting time. I'm going to uh, stop and take some questions. I know a lot of people probably got to jump off. It's Saturday. You want to get outside. It's actually pretty nice here today, but I'll sit here and answer questions. If you got to jump off, Victoria, because those kids are waking up or something, you can do that too. But happy to
Thank you, Russ.
take good questions, like stuff that would impact all of us. Like, what are some of the things that are coming up?
So one of the things there's a couple of things that have kind of come up a few times in the chat that I'll point out, and it has to do with desktop versus using a stick or cloud. And so to really kind of hammer in this concept of we have to be working from our desktops right now,
Yeah.
right? Or can we use like a stick?
Well, so any place that's local. So what I mean by local
Okay.
is it's not in the cloud. So it's not going to be able to go, it's not going to be able to go and find something in your Google Drive. But if you have your Google Drive, for example, I use this little app, Google Drive for desktop. So this is on a Mac. I'm so terrible with the PC. I haven't used one in a long time. But for Mac, and I'm guessing there's this equivalent, if you use Google Drive, for example, this little app will make your Google Drive local so that not only can you access your Google Drive through drive.google.com in the cloud, but it also is holding your files down in on your local computer. And in that case, Claude can definitely root into that Google Drive folder. If you're using a stick, if you plug a USB-C stick in or something, an external drive, as long as that drive's plugged into the computer that you're working on in the desktop, it will see that file and you can work on that file. And some people might want to try to do that for a security reason, I would guess, or so that you can always unplug it and get it out of there. But um, like I have this little guy here that I use for a lot of video flow. It's just an external drive. It's probably like 2 or 3 terabytes you could save on that. And as long as this is plugged into my machine, Claude will be able to use it and see it. But if I unplug it, uh, I uh, not be able would not be able to access and write and read and move things around. The other reason this is smart, just thinking about this, thinking this through, is if you want to switch over to your laptop, right? So you got your Growth OS is sitting on here and you have a desktop computer or two computers or something, and you want to unplug and plug into a different one. And now your Growth OS is here. That should work. Absolutely should work. But you could also root into Google Drive. I haven't had anybody tell me anything about how Dropbox works with this yet. Maybe people are commenting about it as a community, but I'm guessing if you can get Dropbox to be local to your machine and not just cloud, you can't root into just cloud Dropbox or just cloud Google. And I know that might sound technical and stuff like that, but for Mac users, for example, you install this Google Drive for desktop. And now this is a handy plugin anyway, or app for Mac anyways, so that you have your Google Drive. Everything I do is in Google Drive. And the reason is because I have this little plugin that connects my local files to my drive. So if I drag something in to a Google Drive folder, it lives on my computer. It also lives in the cloud. So it's like basically two places.
Perfect. And then another question that's come up a few times is how do I get more support, technical support, help with this? What are my next steps?
I mean, that's what we're doing in the Click Pro. So the Click Pro is my pro. It's for people that aren't dabbling around with this anymore. Like it's like, okay, I got to invest in training. I got to get a part of a community. I want to have regular meetings and trainings around these tools as it relates to growing businesses, right? Like that's what the Click is. And I would love to have every one of you in this community. There's a lot of Click Pro members on here. Maybe some of you can comment about whether or not you enjoy that program, whether or not it's worth it, but in the comments. But like the thing is, this is a tipping point. And if you were ever going to get started in AI, this is it. I mean, this is the time because there is this gap between it's not a gap between people that are using AI and not using AI. Everybody who's reasonable and in business is using AI. It's just that most people have no idea how to use it. Like no clue. Like they're just kind of dabbling around with it. And yet everybody agrees that this is the most transformational technology maybe ever in the history of the world. Like more important than electricity, more important than the internet is this technology. And people aren't investing in themselves. People are not getting proper training. They're not part of communities that are moving forward with this where they can bond together with other people that are building things. And I don't get it. But the good news is it's kind of good news for us. Like if you're going to get involved in this, you're going to be ahead. I'm telling you that most of the world is still asleep at the wheel here. Most businesses don't have any idea what is coming, what is already here. And just like me in 2004, I was standing in the right place at the right time. I was a young professional and there was this new thing called the internet. And then there was this new thing called Google. And I've made a living my whole life off of understanding that technology and being early. My friend Molly Pittman, who's an amazing marketer and amazing human, she was standing in the right place at the right time when Facebook advertising became a platform. It became a thing. And she said, I am going to freaking learn this. I'm not going to learn this a little bit. I'm going to learn this. And today, 14 years later, she's running one of the largest Facebook advertising agencies on the planet. She's a CEO of Smart Marketer and running an advertising agency. These moments only come along once in a while. When you look at it, Google in 2003 or so, Amazon, 2008, let's say. I know a lot of people that said, "I'm gonna freaking learn Amazon." Not not learn how to buy stuff on Amazon. Everybody knows how to buy a pair of socks or something off Amazon. I wanna learn how to make money off of Amazon. I wanna learn how to make money off of Google. I wanna learn how to make money off of Facebook advertising. And now I wanna make money off of learning about agents and how they are going to impact work, right? I wanna build stuff on here. I don't wanna know a little bit about how to use it. I wanna know everything. I wanna get under the hood. I wanna learn this thing because there is so much value in understanding a mega platform and a mega technology like this. So if you want more support, invest in yourself. Join the Click Pro. Put a link in there actually because I I was going to launch this next week, but I am going to be running a promotion next week. But I can give you access to it now. It's $300 discount off the Click Pro to get started now because it's $990. Take it to $690. I want you to have access to this. Let me grab the link and I'll give it to you. I wasn't going to put this out till next week. Uh, Why not? Get it to you here. So just give me a minute. And if you want to jump in with both feet, man. Like jump in here. This is the time to learn this. There's a lot of people who've been with me for 2 years and we're building stuff. Like we're building cool stuff as a group.
I'll
So
jump
this
in there. Michael gave such a lovely testimonial. I think it deserves to be read. For anyone considering signing up for the Click, take what you've experienced today, community help, setup, instruction, etc., and imagine 2 or 3 times per week getting that level of insight and guidance. And then he added on, it's not just about the AI, it's about the business, marketing, visionary, execution backdrop that Russ brings to the table that amplifies what AI can do for your business. And that was an unsolicited comment. And I will 10 times that and say, anybody in the Click, these guys that are all commenting, they know that I've started so many more businesses as a result of being in here. It's kind of comical at this point. But I'm even more of a serial entrepreneur now as a result of being in this group. Oh, it's true. Every other day, I'm like, ooh, I want to start another one. Renee Wood
amazing.
is here,
That's
and
awesome too.
there's so many great people. It's so
So
worth it, you guys. You'll make more money. Like
so if you
it's hard not to.
if you click on that link, you can get that $300 discount. How about that? So if you need a reason to get started, I was going to run this out next week and stuff, but like, yeah, we do masterminds in here. But the big thing right now, honestly, is we're going to be crushing this Claude Cowork. I'm telling you, and OpenAI might put out their thing, and Gemini might put out their thing, but it's going to transfer. I'm telling you, like the Claude got here first with this, and they have set the standard for what it looks like to run an actual work agent. So let me wax for just 2 seconds. Anybody want to stick around on this? That Anthropic basically drew a line in the sand and they said, we're going to take the work side of this AI stuff. We're taking the work side. While OpenAI, what they did with ChatGPT and what Google's doing is they're building ads, they're building social networks, they're building shopping, right? Think about that. What are they doing? They're building the B2C side of AI, while Anthropic's over here saying, we'll take the work side, B2B, you take the B2C side. We don't want that. And that's why they ran those Super Bowl ads. They run the Super Bowl ads to say, we're not going to do ads in Claude because that's not our business model. You run ads over there in ChatGPT. You can run them over in Google Gemini. Over at Claude, we're doing real work. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with these three major companies going forward. But I think we're on the right platform right now. And even if OpenAI launches or Google launches something better, the interface is going to, it's set. This is what an agent looks like. This is how it works. And it's going to work on your local machine and all that stuff. It'll transfer. So, and even if it doesn't, we're going to learn it. Like, let's say OpenAI puts something out that's just like, what in the ever living is this? But it's funny because, like, Angela and I were talking about this the other day, Victoria, that she said, do you think that all of our training and everything that we did on ChatGPT is helping us in Claude Cowork? What is your response to that?
I'm really glad you said that because that was another one of the questions. And I'm sorry to everybody who's like, we didn't, if I didn't read your question, there's just a lot. So trying to group them into themes. But another one of the questions was like, should I do the Growth OS training now? I feel behind, or should I, like, do I still need that? And everybody jumped in. Well, not everybody, but a few people jumped in to say, yeah, it's still totally worth it. I said, if you have time, do it. But if you don't, then, it's okay to just jump straight into Claude Cowork and then, go back and understand.
If you really want to know how AI works, go through Growth OS still today. I'm going to keep adding to Growth OS for Claude. But if you want to understand, if you're one of those people that's like, how do I really get the fundamentals? It's in Growth OS and it's in there right now. If you go and you log in there are concepts in there that are never going to go away when it comes to getting the most out of AI for business growth. There are concepts in there that and the thing is, my answer is absolutely. Like, if you have been working in ChatGPT with me and you've been learning how GPTs work and how projects work and how AI works, it all is, I bet you Claude Cowork makes about, 100% more sense than somebody who might be just coming in and totally getting started from scratch. That said, this is a step change, and we're going from reasoning chatbots to agents with this jump. And you could absolutely just jump in here and just be like, you know what? I'm not gonna worry about totally understanding how ChatGPT worked or whatever. I'm gonna jump straight into Claude Cowork and I'm just gonna start cooking. Like, I'm gonna start setting up my business. I'm gonna start working. That's fine too. But that training is sitting there for you and you will get a ton out of it. I'm telling you. Like, there is conceptual ideas in there that you're just like, oh, I see. That's why my AI fails sometimes. That's why it succeeds sometimes. And I think it's still absolutely worth going through that training. I'll put the link in here one more time and maybe shoot out an email or something after this. But here's how you get $300 off. I made the coupon code Claude for this promotion because, yeah, we're
Awesome.
all in.
Renee asks, is it unusual for Cowork to work through a response for more than 25 minutes? And I actually had the same thing yesterday.
Absolutely. This is what it looks like when you're working with an agent. Sometimes you give it a task. So a couple things I didn't point out yet was this progress bar, for example. This is the agent's plan. The agent makes a plan and it can be multi-step, and some of those steps could last for 5 minutes or 20 seconds, 5 seconds, 1 second. But for example, my morning routine, because it goes and checks Beehive, it goes checks Zoom, it goes checks my calendar, it does some things. I get up in the morning, I come into my workstation, I open Claude, I say good morning, it goes off and runs. And it runs for about 10 minutes. And in the meantime, I start new tasks. I start working on other stuff. And then it pops up and says, hey, we're ready. Your morning routine's done. And I go back over there and I check my morning routine. I see if there are new subscribers. I have lots of things that are happening in that routine, and you'll build up to that as well. But for example, your morning routine, if it's just going to go check the weather, might take 5 seconds, 20 seconds or something like that. And then you start to add something to it. Or if you tell it to go and examine 15 things, right? Like, it might be gone for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And that's where we are today, is that we have AI that can work over long time horizons on something. It can make a plan. It's going to go check. It's going to figure out what it needs to do. It might be writing to its folder. It might go access a connecting tool. It comes back, takes the information from that, rewrites the plan and works. And it will often work for 20 or 30 minutes at a time. Good question, Renee.
All right.
No,
Thank you so much, Russ. This is
yeah.
awesome. I
Yeah,
felt
actually, let me say, Renee was the one that gave me the most crap about not recording yesterday's webinar. So she wins that prize. And I'm glad you're here today. I hope you guys got a ton out of this, and we will get the recording to you as soon as possible. It will be available. You can go back through it, take your time, pause it. Take a breath though. Okay. So take a deep breath, install the plugin, run it on a business, do it on a test business if you want to start, and just start to get the hang of this. Jump in the Click Pro is a good time to do it. Drop the price by $300 because this is exciting. Jump into the Click Pro and start investing. Right, start investing in yourself, investing in your business, so you can be ahead of this game. Thanks so much, Victoria, for jumping on.
you're so welcome
Angela, thank you. So
You,
helpful.
for doing this on a Saturday. Thank you both.
On a Saturday, and so many Click Pro members in here. I know in here helping people out and doing all those things. You
Amazing.
guys are awesome, and we'll see you next week. Have a great rest of your weekend. Bye, everybody.